Hotel Staffing and HR, in conjunction with PatriotTV.live, bring you Play Harder Radio, the premier patriotic sports and BS talk show from America's Gulf Coast. Things that matter in the world of sports and things that don't matter to anyone. It's just Faja's opinion. Where the F-bomb is allowed, but frowned upon. This is Play Harder Radio. And now, your host, James Grant.
Woo! All right. Just a news break right off the bat. LeBron sucks.
Agreed.
I want to get that in every week.
100%.
My guest tonight is Omar Armenteros.
That's me.
Say Armenteros.
Armenteros.
Say it right.
Omar Armenteros.
Thank you. I was trying to say it today, like in that, like your accent or whatever, but I sound like
Who says I have an accent?
When you do it that is your Cuban natural
In Spanish, you mean?
Spanish,
The Spanish language?
Yeah, like Spanish. I was trying to sound like that, but I sound like I'm from Slovakia or something when I try to do it. And
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm like Armenteros, and I'm like,
That's pretty good, though. No,
you
that's
sound like a cheesy.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I've heard much worse, man. I've heard much worse.
Are you a Lakers fan?
I'm a huge
Speaking
Lakers
of LeBron,
fan. A huge Lakers fan. I've been a Lakers fan, so I mean, I remember watching Magic and Kareem and Byron Scott, and once Kareem with Divac came in and they lost to the Bulls, like that tore my heart out of my chest, man.
Right.
I'm a huge Lakers fan. All the years that we sucked before we got Kobe, and we had Van Axel and we had Eddie Jones, and we were just absolutely terrible. Ceballos, if you remember Cedric Ceballos.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All those years where we
Absolutely.
just couldn't even make it to the playoffs, I was still diehard Lakers fan.
so you were you there? Do you remember 80 and on?
I started paying attention to basketball, I would say probably like 1986. Yeah. So from 1986 on.
79, the NCAA championship game in 79 was Magic and Larry Bird.
Yep.
Yeah, and I watched that. I was on a trip with a youth group or something. I watched that down in Florida. They got it. They rented a TV and brought it in
that's funny.
we all grew up in Michigan,
Right.
and so we watched it.
Because he went to Michigan State.
He went to Michigan State, and I went to Buchanan High School, and we had a guy from Buchanan High School, Gerald Busby, who was, if you remember, you may or may not remember the guy's name, Kevin Loader.
That sounds familiar.
He went to Cassopolis in our conference.
Okay.
And Gerald owned him.
Oh, really?
Gerald was a bad dude.
Yeah.
But somewhere, and I thought, nicest guy in the world. I mean, good, cool kid. I mean, we're talking about, I graduated in 77. He graduated in 79, I guess.
So from a distance, he was cool.
Yeah. I mean, I knew him. Yeah. I played ball with him or his brother. I mean, we'd goof around because the school was only less than 200 people in
the whole school?
In my class.
Okay.
Less than 200 in my class?
I think I had like 5,000 people in my high school.
5,000 people, yeah. Well, you're Miami, right?
Yeah.
So my town was 5,000.
That's funny. I had as many people in my high school as you did in your town.
That's hilarious. But Kenny Garrett before that had gone to Bradley, which I think is in the Chicago
area. That name sounds familiar. Kenny Garrett?
Yeah, and he was good. He was good. He played college ball.
Okay.
So Gerald went to Michigan State, and he was a freshman on that team.
With Magic?
With Magic. There was an article in the paper early in the year. He had dunked on Magic in practice early in camp.
Yeah.
And Magic's like, kid's going to be a baller. Boy's going to be a baller. He can play. And so Gerald got pissy and quit his freshman year because he didn't feel like he was getting his due enough playing time.
Yeah.
As a freshman.
Man.
I want to say that was Judd Heathcote.
Yeah.
Was the coach then. So the first two guys off the bench all year, he was like third guy off the bench and he was complaining.
Yeah.
The first two guys off the bench that year got hurt right before the tournament. He'd have been sixth man the whole tournament.
He would have gotten a bunch of minutes.
He would have gotten all kinds of minutes, all kinds of everything.
Yep. Sometimes you just got to be patient.
Do you remember who's one of the best pure shooters in the Forum?
In the Forum. I mean, can I just pick back or?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd
Absolutely.
say probably Jerry West.
Okay. So that's probably true, but I didn't watch Jerry West, so since 1980, let's do that.
Since 1980.
In your era, because he played it, the guy I'm thinking of played during your heyday with them.
I mean, you had a bunch of people, but at the Forum, I mean, Scott.
Agreed.
You got Worthy.
Byron Scott could shoot lights out at home, but he shot like these are made up numbers, but he shot like 55% out there, outside, at home, and 35% or 30% on the road.
Yeah.
He was money in the Forum.
Yeah, there's Norm Nixon. I mean, those teams are just a bunch of fun.
Norm Nixon was before Byron Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a little earlier in the 80s. I mean, just fun.
Was the Magic playing center in the 32 points in the finals because Kareem was hurt or sick?
That was his rookie year.
That was the rookie year?
That was his rookie year. Magic's rookie year. He played every position. And I think that's a bigger thing when people say, oh, he played every position. Oh, well, LeBron can play every position. Anthony Davis can play every position. I was like, it's not the same thing, especially in that day and age. Like in that day and age, if you played center, you were, an Olajuwon or you were Ewing. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing as playing center now, where everybody's 6'11", 6'10". You know what I mean?
They were pure center. They were post players then.
Right. It was a completely different game.
It's not really a post game now.
Right. Everybody's shooting threes. Luka Doncic is what, 6'10", 6'11"?
Yeah.
He's standing out on three-point line, just draining threes all day long. You know what I mean? It looks too easy now. I don't even watch basketball anymore. That's how bad it is. I can't stand it.
It's I don't either.
Yeah.
And I miss it because I love basketball.
I love basketball.
I can't. You know what you need to do if you love basketball and you want to still enjoy basketball? You can go to there's some YouTubers.
Okay.
That are fantastic, and there's some on Ball is Life on Facebook.
I know what that is. Yep.
And then there's T-Jazz, and the Professor is also on.
I know who the Professor is.
And who's the other guy that I'm thinking of? I guess it was.
I grew up on basketball. I love basketball more than any other sport. Like once I stopped playing baseball when I was a little kid, basketball. Like we would literally play basketball as soon as we got out of school. 2:00, we'd be playing basketball until it got dark, until we couldn't see the ball anymore.
I grew up in Michigan, and we shoveled the driveway.
So you could play basketball?
A foot of snow off the. We had the best court in town.
Yeah.
We had I would say they were 10 by 10 chunks or panels of concrete, sections of concrete. 1, 2, 3. No, 1, 2 probably. 2, and we had probably 20 by 20 court that was great, perfect concrete and a goal that my dad built that hung out over the court and stuff.
Yeah.
We shoveled. He had a sit-up board. It was a ramp at that time with a seatbelt at the end to tuck your feet in.
Okay.
We took that out there and we'd run off the end of that
to dunk.
And dunk.
I remember, and this is always something like I've even asked Dana. It's like, hey, can you touch the rim? Hey, can you dunk? And I remember growing up, it was like that was a big thing. It was like, oh, so and so touched the net. They touched the net. Oh man, he touched the net. Oh, he touched the rim. Like everybody would just test how high they could jump, how high they could get.
It's a thing.
Until we started getting old enough to where people were able to start dunking. I was like, so and so dunked. Oh, that's a big deal. And I remember the high school that I went to, Miami High. We ran the state in basketball. Every single year we were at states playing for my high school. My senior year, we had 3 NBA players. Steve Blake, who played for the Lakers eventually, Udonis Haslem, who spent a bunch of years with the Heat, and Brent Wright, who played for the Knicks a little bit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. 3 players. It was stacked. It was insane just watching those games. We play all the other high schools, and it was like a dunk contest. They were throwing balls off the backboards, just dunking left and right.
Gerald, that I was talking about, Gerald Busby, he was
I remember watching Vince Carter play against us in high school.
How was that?
Oh, dude, it was nuts. Like you could just see. I remember it was just watching him, and I remember he would in the warm-ups. You know how they start going through the warm-up drills. he would get up and act like he was gonna dunk, and then just lay it at the rim at the last moment, just perfect.
Really?
And I mean, he was so high next to it, and everybody was like, "Wow, this guy's insane."
So he was like, I could if I wanted to, but
He was playing around with it. He was playing around.
You know
with
what?
It, yeah.
See, that makes me think a lot more of him because I never liked. I don't know if it was the look on his face.
Yeah.
Because he looked like he wanted attention every time he dunked.
I
hated him actually.
I was cool with Vince Carter because he respected Kobe so much. I'm a huge Kobe fan. So he and other people, you could tell, as much as people like to hate on Kobe, everybody knew what Kobe was. You can hate on him all you want, but you knew Kobe was the man. And in his generation, there's nobody else that did what he did. That was it.
In Kobe's generation?
Yeah.
No. Just like Mike's.
Exactly. Like he stood head and shoulders above everybody else.
He matured a lot as a man.
I think once he got in some serious trouble in Colorado, he realized this can all be gone like that.
And he by the time he retired and stuff, and his final game, 62 or something like?
He took 52 shots and scored, I think, 62 points.
Yeah.
But he took 52 shots.
That still means he made about 30 shots.
I mean, you have
Those were outside too.
Oh, he was just going for it. He was just going for it. And I remember he took the 2 games before, he took them off just so he'd be fresh for the game because you knew he was going for it.
Where do you rank Magic all time?
My favorite player of all time.
I know that. Where amongst the best in the GOAT conversation?
You know, you have to. He's got to be top 5. How is he not?
I agree.
You know, how is he not top 5? And the thing is, it's also generational, right? Like I think people across generations, they do say Mike is the best ever. You'll hear people say Kobe, you know, people from my generation, that was our Michael Jordan, right? That's what we watched. You know, and then you've got people like Bird, like Magic, you know, you've got people like Kareem, you know, who's got, you know, all the points, you know. So there's
I was just thinking that because I wanted to bring that up about the Lakers is for the Lakers, you got Magic and Kobe and Kareem and Jerry West and Wilt.
Wilt Chamberlain, you got.
Do you know that
Shaq?
Wilt Chamberlain and Shaq?
It's nuts.
I almost don't consider. I mean, he won 3 championships.
If you were to ask me to rank the centers, I would say Wilt, Kareem, Shaq, in exactly that order. But then we're not even talking about like old school, like Minneapolis Lakers. You know what I mean? So it's a very storied franchise. It's no different than the Celtics.
Did you know that Wilt had a 47-inch vertical?
Yeah, he was a beast. He used to do high jump.
He was 7'1".
I mean, it's just,
and he had a 47-inch vertical.
You know, it's like that Giannis kid now. A kid's insane.
Speaking of, I wanted to say this. I will be watching some NBA box scores because the Lakers signed Mac McClung. Do you know who that is?
No, I don't.
He was.
I know. He went to Texas Tech, I think. He played. Yes, I know exactly who he is.
He went to high school in Virginia.
Okay.
He went to Georgetown and played for Patrick.
Yeah.
And I think only lasted there a year.
A little bit, yeah.
And then he went to Tech.
Yep.
And he was number 2 scorer in
I know exactly who he is.
In the Big 12 last year.
Yeah.
And kids, he's 6'1", maybe 6'2".
Yeah, he's short, but he's pretty smooth.
He can throw it down
he's
every
smooth.
which way.
All he needs to do is stand on that 3-point line and wait for the ball.
And he can do that.
That's it, yeah.
And he can do that.
Yeah.
He is super fun to watch, and he's got some great videos on YouTube.
Well, he'd be a great utility player. You know, somebody that you bring off the bench. You know, he's not going to be a starter in the NBA, but he can get you.
They had those guys too. The Lakers have a storied.
For sure.
Mike McGee.
Oh yeah.
University of Michigan, that line drive shot.
Yeah.
Michael. During the Showtime era.
AC Green. I mean, just
who was the Michael? Thin defensive player. Guard.
I'm blanking on his last name right now.
Robert Horry.
Yep, Robert Horry was the man. I remember when he got the bounce back pass and he just hit that 3. It was like,
He's got like 7.
Against
I
the
want to
Kings?
say championships.
Yeah, because he won a couple with San Antonio, right? Then he won with the Lakers, and then he went to
Rockets.
To the Rockets.
Yeah, he doesn't get his due
at all. He was he was an integral part of those Laker teams, man.
Yeah.
Big shot Rob. Making it happen.
Awesome. Quickly, Todd.
LeBron does suck, though.
I woke you up, didn't I?
No.
Yes, I
I was
did.
waiting for you to ask for. Are we playing this video of the ball girl from the beginning?
That's coming up. That's going to be the third thing from now. But throw up the charity run for the children.
Oh, okay. That's easy.
So if you're out there and you're in Pensacola area and you're not one of the millions watching around the world, the Marine Corps League, this is the 37th annual Semper Fi 5K charity run for the children that supports the Boys and Girls Club of the Emerald Coast, New Horizons, Northwest Florida, Escambia Westgate School, the Miracle League of Pensacola. Do you know what the Miracle League is?
Never heard of it.
I'd heard of it for a long time, but it's a baseball league for handicapped kids.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's super awesome. And
Very cool.
It's pretty national, but I never knew what the Miracle League was for a long time. And they've got a handicapped field up there on 9 Mile Road.
Okay.
So, yeah, pretty cool.
That is cool.
Gulf Coast Kids House and the Lead Academy of Santa Rosa. So it is on November 13th, which I believe Kat gave me the okay, so I hope we still do it. It's the same run that we did that year for our WAD.
That's a funny story, too.
You'll have to tell. I don't remember which part was funny.
The whole thing was funny. But.
So Omar is the co-owner of Revolt Fitness, along with his better three-quarters Kat. And
more like better 100%. She's just the better one, period.
She's something else for sure.
Yep.
But our workout of the day, our WAD, we're CrossFit based, not affiliated.
Yeah.
CrossFit inspired.
We're in the sport of fitness. We're into health and fitness. The sport of fitness.
Yeah. And so we do that for that Saturday. We took the whole gym down there to run, and we got a few others to run. That was 2 years ago, pre-COVID year.
Yep.
I'm gonna quit doing that.
Just ignore it.
Yeah. 2 years ago. They didn't have the race last year for some reason. I don't know.
We skipped it.
Yeah. So anyway, show up November 13th. That's 2 days after Veterans Day. It's Saturday, November 13th, 8 a.m. We're trying to get 500 runners this year, so
that'd be cool.
Would be super awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good day. Free food, free beer.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I had a good time.
Good time. Throw up my son just sent this to me. Are you a car guy? That's a Corvette.
Yeah.
I appreciate cars.
That's the 2020. It'll come out in 22. It's already out in the standard form.
It looks very GT40.
That's the Z06.
Yeah. They definitely looked at the GT40 where we're like, okay, so if we were successful with this, why can't the Corvettes look like this, right?
Yeah, mid-engine. So that's the Z06. Going to make 600 horsepower. It looks badass.
That's cool.
It looks badass. They say it'll run for. It should MSRP at around 87, 90,000.
That's not that bad.
But they're selling the standard ones, which start at 62 for 110, 120.
Also, there's some serious markup.
So they're thinking that this one's going to go for 200.
All right, that's not that much. That's
not
not enough car for $200,000.
You know, I don't know if it is or it isn't.
I'd feel like an idiot driving around in a $200,000 Corvette. I don't think of Corvette the way that I think of other supercars.
Like an R8 or any Ferrari or any Lambo.
We're talking two different things.
Yeah.
And see, I don't know enough about cars to know how much does an R8 cost now? How much does a Ferrari cost now? I mean, it must be stupid.
An R8 starts at around, I built one online a couple years ago.
Just for shits and giggles?
Just for shits and giggles. Was started at 175 and then it ended up about 225.
If you told me, okay, take this Corvette for $200,000 or this R8 for 175,
yeah, you're driving an R8
any day of the week.
I had a kid that worked for me when I was doing the roofing in Virginia, and he used to park cars down in Virginia Beach at this hotel where they had a supercar rally deal every year.
That's cool.
He goes, he was a valet. He goes, I drove everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Give me an R8.
That's a beautiful car, man.
Give me an R8.
It's a beautiful car.
Audi doesn't get enough due. It's due.
You know,
because
I
of
think
BMW
and
all that
Porsche
stuff.
and everything else. You know, Benz. you know, they're always going to be in the top tier, and then you're going to see those other cars. But Audis are beautiful cars.
Jared wants a Porsche. He said he thinks that's his.
Like a Carrera or something.
Yeah.
Or Panamera.
I don't like those.
I don't either.
They don't.
And
look
I remember
good.
when they first came out, people are like, "Oh," and I was like, "That's blasphemy. It's a Porsche."
It's a 4-door.
Yeah,
and it's
I know,
ugly
dude.
too.
It's a Porsche, man. It's a sports car. It's 2-door and go. That's it. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the SUVs and all that stuff. Even though I remember
so
when
you
I
wouldn't
was
take a Lamborghini SUV?
in a heartbeat. And I remember I saw the Lamborghini SUV, like the old one that looks all triangular and stuff like that. I saw that a bunch of years ago when I was still living in LA, and I was like, this is insane. It looked like a tank from the future, man. It was insane.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I think I had that video. The ball girl video should be starting like at 42-second mark.
Yeah, you got it set something.
Okay, check this out. This is hilarious.
Okay.
Oh, you can't see it good enough. Well enough.
It's going to be floating in between the two of you too. So just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't. It's up there, and you can't really see
Yeah.
it. But play it for everybody.
All right.
Oh, there we go. The guy in the white. It's hard to see from here. Jukes all the field security.
Oh, I remember you told me about this.
Takes off for the right field line.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's got a lead.
Go, buddy, go. He's at the 10. He's at the 5.
He's gonna get away. Oops, ball girl. Boom, Jackson. He goes end over the wall.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
You know-
she when you watch it up close, she's there and she's like,
Just see which way is he gonna go.
and she nailed him and knocked him over the wall. Pretty
What I
cool.
watched the other day was like ball girls catching like foul balls. And
I know.
dude. I was watching it and I was like, I would not want to be sitting there with like 100-mile-per-hour ball coming at my head, and they're like snapping these things out of the air like nothing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. I watched highlights of that for like 5 minutes on YouTube the other day.
That's like you get stuck on
you
YouTube
get
watching
sucked
that
down the
stuff.
rabbit hole. You
That-
start watching one thing after the other.
That's what I'm telling you about those basketball videos. Mm-hmm.
The ball is life and stuff.
All of a sudden, I'm like, it's 2:30.
I gotta do something today.
I better go to bed. Well, that too. 2:30 a.m. or p.m.
Right.
It's like,
I gotta get something done.
I saw the other day that they're just excited and blowing up. Tebow's, they're so jacked up
He
in
looks
Jacksonville.
yoked. Have you seen him?
The dude is yoked.
He's a big dude to begin with. I mean, even when he was playing for the Gators, and I hated him because I'm a UM fan. Grew up in Miami. I literally grew up in the shadow of the Orange Bowl, so I hated Tebow. And
that was a nice neighborhood, the Orange Bowl.
No, that was not a nice neighborhood. But it was a real neighborhood, man. And we definitely love the Canes. You know, we still do. We still love the Canes, even though I feel like they're going to come up this year. They'll be a little bit better.
15 preseason ranking.
Yeah, I think Manny Diaz has the right idea, and he's very good at making the event, if you will, right? And playing like with the chain, the turnover chain and stuff like that. And it's
hate
very
that
gimmicky,
shit.
but you know what? The kids like that. That's
Yeah,
what the
they
kids
do.
like. They like the stuff on Twitter, and they like the chain, and all of these kids that are 18, 19 years old. Of course, all of them want to wear this big old Cuban link chain with a big old hurricane on it. Of course they want to wear that. So of course they're going to come play for the U.
It's
And look at how many other universities have come up with some other stupid gimmicky thing after they started doing that.
I miss. There was a time. It started with. Oh, come on. Howard Schnellenberger,
Okay,
and I think that was Jim Kelly was probably
that
his
was a
first.
long time ago. Yeah,
He
yeah.
won a national championship.
He did.
Howard did.
I think that was 82.
Something like that. But I like the Canes.
Yeah.
I'm a Michigan. I'm a UM fan too. Different UM.
University of Michigan.
University of suck right
Schnellenberger
now,
put-
Michigan.
Yeah.
Schnellenberger put Louisville on the map too.
Yeah, he did.
He came there after Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Todd is a Louisville guy. But and then with Larry, whatever, what was his name? They had that long undefeated streak in 2001 and 2, and then they got screwed out of the national championship by Ohio State.
Ohio State, that was bullshit.
That was unbelievable,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
And not one Ohio.
And I mean, they got lucky too. McGahee got hurt like 5 plays into the game. and busted his knee.
Was that the bad knee thing?
That was the one. His knee went in the opposite direction.
What an amazing comeback.
That kid.
He played the next season.
Like 3 months later, he was in the NFL. 3 days later, he was in the NFL. 3 months later, he was in the NFL.
Pensacola News Journal, speaking of my team, Michigan, forgotten, ignored, snubbed, passed over, disregarded. Perennial power team that should be in the top 20, that's 25, that's not. University of Michigan, Jim Harbaugh. I hate him.
Is he
I
not
hate
doing
Harbaugh.
good?
It's his 7th year, and they're not even preseason ranked. And
You feel like they've given him too much slack?
Shit, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have fired him. Well, when he played John O'Corn, you don't know, you probably didn't pay attention, but John O'Corn in 2017 is the worst quarterback I've ever seen in Division I football. I
really?
swear. I was better then. In 2017, I was 58, and I was better than
You
him.
would have done better?
Yes.
Pull you out of the stands?
Yes. I was better.
Pull a Rudy?
Anyway.
But yeah, I saw a video of Tebow the other day, and he's... What position is
Why
he
did
even
they-
playing?
tight end, tight
okay,
end.
that makes sense.
Why does everybody hate Tim Tebow?
I think just the way that he is and the way that he carries himself, it's kind of...
Confidently and stays out of trouble and doesn't say anything wrong.
Right. People kind of see you suspiciously when you're so clean.
When you have a children's hospital with your name on it?
All of those things, right? Like, it's easy to hate somebody that's making all the right decisions.
People do. That's human nature,
That's
isn't it?
human nature. That's
That's
just the way that it is.
bullshit.
If you make the right decisions, there's somebody out there that's going to hate you. And now the fact that social media, you can go ahead and put that opinion out everywhere. That's what people are going to go ahead and do.
Is that why they love Colin Kaepernick? Because they suck like he does?
They see themselves in that person.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying? Like it's easy to reflect, right? It would be hard. It would be hard for me to say, like, I can't even imagine sitting with Tim Tebow and having a lot of things in common with him. Like, maybe working out and stuff like that. But if
Right.
we start talking about things, I'm not like a very religious person, and he's a very religious
Right.
person. There's going to be some differences. There's probably some common ground that we can find as we start talking through things, maybe politics, who knows? But it's hard to see myself in that person. And because of that, I'm not going to be able to, look at that person and be like, yeah, they're kind of like me. I'm kind of like them. So it's
Right.
usually the crappier person that you might be with.
I never was a big fan.
What don't you like about Kaepernick?
Just the kneeling thing. You already know that.
That's freedom, man. That's
Not-
America.
Not during somebody else's time.
During anybody's time, it's freedom.
I disagree.
That's what we fight for.
No.
And that's
not-
also what we fight for.
Can I
that
do
we can
whatever
disagree
I want at the gym?
to a certain extent. To a certain extent, you could do whatever you want at the gym.
If you were paying James to be there, could he do whatever he wanted at the gym?
Absolutely not, because now I'm his employer.
Okay,
right?
thank you
So see,
very
that's
much.
that's the difference.
That's right. I forgot. I'm paying him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do what I want. Well, I kind
But
of
see,
already do.
but
and
that's
they're like,
that's the point, though. So I think people get too bent out of shape.
okay, can Marcy do and say whatever she wants when she coaches?
Again, if we're the employer and she's the employee, she has to abide by that. And that's
The
your
employer allows it, so yeah, I guess.
So you're 100% correct.
His employer allows it.
Whoever I would work for, I can't say certain things, right? I'd be in front of HR or wherever, right? Same exact concept. But if
Right.
the employer allows it, who is it to anybody else? And the fact that he's, kneeling during the, everybody's tripping out about, oh, he's kneeling during the anthem. All right, so he's kneeling during the anthem. That's his way of protesting, right? And I support, and I guess that's what I'm trying to say, I support everybody's ability to be able to protest and whether I agree with it or not. I support your ability to protest, because the moment I stop supporting your ability to protest, guess who's also going to lose their ability to protest? This guy.
I understand that.
So that's
But
kind
I
of the
don't
way that
mind
I see it.
I don't care if they do it. I mean, I'm going to think the same of them.
Now,
But if they do it on their own time,
Right,
not
the-
when
the-
I'm paying to watch that shit.
Are you paying to it?
Yeah, we pay.
Oh, how do you pay for it?
Tickets,
Oh, okay,
jerseys.
so don't support that. That's now your freedom to not support that
I want to
team.
have a fit about what I want to have a fit
that's
about.
that's why the ratings are in the tank.
Exactly. You got it. That's exactly
Okay,
right.
I don't like him.
I've never met him, so I can't say one way or the other.
I believe
I'll tell
that
you
he's
what,
a
though.
shitty person, too.
I've seen him say some things about Cuba that are clearly misinformed.
See, he's a...
You know what I mean? And that's and I wish I could almost talk to those people and be like, listen, this is the reality. This is what you think is wrong.
We're going to talk about
And we
Cuba
will,
too.
yeah.
We got to get through this because we want to have enough time to talk about Cuba
Yeah.
and a few things.
Erica Marie is signing off, and she's made lots of comments, and you all haven't said anything about what she said. But
Oops. Well, I didn't pay very good attention, did I?
No.
Como resigned.
Como, and I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did.
Right?
That kind of blew my mind.
But I feel like part of that is,
And I watched the video
things
today.
that he did.
He said it was because he's Italian.
Oh, it's because he's Italian.
Yeah, I watched
Is
the
that
video
what he said
yeah,
today?
I watched the video today that his excuse was he's Italian. That's how we do,
That's why he's so touchy.
We hug and we kiss people and it's like, okay, I can see that. I'm Cuban. I kiss my dad on the cheek, I kiss my mom on the cheek, my sisters, my brothers and stuff like that. We hug, we give each other kisses on the cheek, but I think there's kind of like a line that gets drawn, and some of the things that have come out, I think, are past what that line is.
Well, yeah, but
So it's
are
pretty
they?
funny.
Are they? Do you think they were emotionally debilitating to the victims?
I don't know enough.
Do you even classify that?
I don't know enough to comment past what I've seen. I try to watch as little about politics because it's all just negative.
I don't watch any.
And it's all BS.
As much as I talk about it or whatever, I really don't watch much about it.
Yeah.
I listen to the people I want to listen to about stuff, opinion stuff, but
No agenda.
Well, and
no
think of it this way.
agenda's
So think of it this way. What's the biggest story about Como? Right now.
right now,
Yeah.
his Me Too actions.
Yeah, that he resigned
It's
because
not my biggest story, but
he potentially sexually harassed a bunch of different women. Nobody is talking about the fact that how many thousands of people died because he put them back in the nursing homes.
that he murdered.
Right? Nobody's talking about that anymore.
That's why this is bullshit.
Right. So that's the thing. It's all just layering, right? So if they keep throwing so many things at you, you're never actually able to pay attention to what's truly happening. So this guy sent how many people to the nursing homes? I want to say it's thousands, and we could look it up to just
Over
make sure.
15,000,
Okay.
10,000.
Those people had families. Those people had children. Those people had grandchildren. Nobody's talking about them anymore.
The CDC directive at that time said, if you can't send them back,
Yeah.
you can't put people back in that situation. And there were temporary hospital setups, and the Mercy ship was in the harbor.
And then his brother's been running cover for him the whole time, along with these other people as well. That are all well-connected people. And when you're well-connected, that's what ends up happening.
So his brother has a problem now because now.
His brother's on vacation, I think, for his
Well,
birthday.
yeah. Well, his brother's on vacation to help his brother what's Como's first name?
Chris?
No, that's the brother. Yeah, who's the governor? I can't remember his first name. Mario was their dad. That was mayor or that was governor.
I'm not too sure.
What's his name? Anyway, he's persona non grata in the Hamptons.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's where Chrissy lives.
Is
Eric
that?
is saying, and he did not utilize any of the resources that was sent to him talking about Cuomo. But
What? Is that
Like I
so?
said, his name
The house in the
is
Hamptons, is that the one that
Ian.
Como bought while he was supposed to be in, in his COVID quarantine?
When he was quarantined,
Yeah.
when he was out running
he was out
around and
checking out
biking-
houses.
Yeah, when he was out checking out
While he had COVID?
When he was checking out the wives of the Hamptons.
And that's one of that hypocrisy, that do as I say, not as I do. That really annoys me. Seeing I think Obama had a party the other day with like
Yeah.
600-700 people. Right, we're talking about like shutting down
in the Hamptons.
in the Hamptons. 600-700 people, not counting the people that were actually servers or anything like that.
Well, they weren't allowed to take pictures or something.
Yeah, because none of them were wearing masks.
Right.
But now we have to wear masks, even though the masks don't do anything. And
I'm gonna
directors
go
from
get
CDC.
my T-shirt. I have a T-shirt right over there. One of them right over there.
Yeah, it's the hypocrisy doesn't end, and it's annoying, right? Let's all be real and let's all tell the truth. That'd be great.
Patriot TV Live we're on. were on Patriot TV Live, and they were represented at Mike Lindell. My Pillow guy had a cyber symposium.
Okay.
He has all the pocket captures from the machines, from all the state, he got, however he has it. I think some shit's gonna hit the fan. But Patriot TV was represented. It made me go look at Escambia County to see how they did it. They have a form on there. It's called a vote to cure ballot form.
Mm-hmm.
It's so you can if your signature on your ballot that you sent in doesn't match what's on file, you can send in this form to make the vote good.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
It doesn't.
I mean,
but I've seen that there's stuff with the ballots that you can cure them and stuff like that. And I mean, at this point, I think about the election and stuff like that and whatever it is that may have happened. And at this point, it's like, who cares? Like, there's no turning that back. That's not going to change. It's not like tomorrow Biden, forgetting wherever it is that he's at, is not going to be the president. He's still going to be the president. And he's going to do his 4 years if he makes it through his 4 years.
The problem that we need, whoever, even if Biden stays in office, whoever did what they did needs to be held accountable.
Oh, absolutely.
Legally.
Yeah. 100%.
You know who Stacey Abrams is?
And so, and this brings up the actual issue. How, with everything that we've got as far as how, with technology and stuff like that, how we can tell that you are you, how is there not a better system in place for voting? Like, the most important thing that we do as citizens, I would say, right? Voting for the elected officials that make the policy, that drive the country.
With all the technology, it makes it easier to cheat.
And it could be, yeah.
That's what the whole situation is that we've got to get away from this machine thing.
I mean, so you have bank accounts and stuff like that are very, like, as far as encryption is concerned, practically impossible. I know I have some stuff that I don't know how anybody would be able to break that kind of encryption.
Right.
How is that not something that's possible?
Well, because the people that are in charge of it aren't trustworthy.
Yeah, and that's good. Healthy skepticism is everything. As far as I'm concerned, a healthy society is skeptic.
You have to question.
Yeah, and that's your duty. You're supposed to question. You're supposed to educate yourself on how it is that things work. And the more educated that the society is, the better decisions we're able to make as a society, because that's the way it's supposed to work. It's not just one guy or an oligarch up at the top with a couple of cats making these decisions. It's all of us, right?
And
that's what the republic is about, right?
This whole thing about the election.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not going to get overturned.
It's not.
You say. Okay. However, that's not what this is about. It has to be fixed. Because you can't, if you don't have a secure election, we're done.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
We're done.
Yeah.
So I would like to hear if people, don't you want to, why don't, they're suing Dominion, suing everybody.
Those are the people with the machines, right?
Yeah. They're the biggest, the main one.
Yeah.
There's some other ones.
They're the ones that were in Venezuela, and that for sure was hacked.
And if you're clean,
which one was that one?
I said that was the CIA.
Yeah, most likely.
If you're clean, then just open up your records and show them.
Yeah.
Why not?
Because we're not important, Fasha. We're the peasants. It's as simple as that.
I got some peasant action.
This is no different than feudal times. There's the king, there's the lords, right? And then there's everybody else. Take a look at, everything is cronyism. Bezos, how many billions did Bezos get for, as rich as that guy is, the U.S. government?
How much did he increase over the last 18 months?
Like 126 billion. No, that's not Bezos. That was Elon Musk. Musk, 126 billion. Bezos
is he
the other
number
day,
one now?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of that was because of Tesla, right? Tesla's stock price just going through the roof. But so with Bezos got how many billions of dollars for, what is it? Blue Origin is his company. There's Virgin Galactic, which is Richard Branson. There's SpaceX, which is Musk.
Elon Musk.
And then
I don't know the name of his.
and I think Bezos is Blue Origin. And this guy went to space after he got how many billions of dollars from the U.S. government to help.
I didn't even pay attention. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. He got billions of dollars. Yeah. And then when they gave the moon lander, because he asked for it, and he can put pressure, and he's got billions of dollars. So now
Washington Post.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So now that's what ends up happening, right? So they those are the barons. Those are the robber barons now.
Yeah, people hate capitalism, but they don't. I don't think they really hate They hate the crony.
They hate
capitalism.
cronyism. That's crony cap. We don't have capitalism. We have crony capitalism.
There's some, but the majority of everything
Yeah,
is crony capitalism.
There's a reason why these billionaires have increased their fortunes, fivefold in the last 2 years.
How many billions did they increase in the last 2 years? And how many mom and pop and small business
Are out of business.
got more than that crushed?
Yep.
How many of
Had a
them
hard time
committed suicide?
accessing funds, that whole SBA, EIDL, all of that stuff. It wasn't exactly the easiest thing. A lot of people weren't able to get that. A lot of people went out of business. We got very lucky, with the fact that we've got the community that we do, and everybody was like, we're closed down, no big deal. We're going to keep paying our membership. And they did. And that got us through that time, because if it wasn't for that, Revolt wouldn't be here anymore.
Did you get some PP?
We didn't. We didn't. But we didn't need it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we got very lucky because of that. But I feel like our situation was a very different situation than most other places that probably did need that. We're very cautious with money, so I feel like we were in a much better place than possibly other gyms, other businesses and stuff like that,
The guy up in New Jersey who refused to shut down his gym?
Yeah, I know. He got a bunch of money, and the state took it from him, from his bank account.
Yeah.
They confiscated. I think like 160 grand or something like that.
So now
That's
he's
insane.
open, but he's not allowed to charge.
Okay.
So it's donation based.
That's cool.
And I think he's doing better than ever.
Oh, for sure. I don't see any reason why not.
I got a T-shirt. I bought a T-shirt at a conference I was at that's him.
Okay.
And just because I want to support, because he stood up like we all need to.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why this country is the way that it is. And the Bill of Rights, that had never been done before, right? That a republic had never been done before, the way that this country is. And that's why this country, all the immigration, all the people, my family, myself, right? We came to this country because it was the beacon of hope, the beacon of freedom. Wherever you live, however terrible the situation may be, because of politics, because of religion, because of whatever, the United States was always like that shining, castle on the hill, right? Like, this is where you can go and you can do things and you can work hard and you can make it happen, right? That's what the United States is to everybody that's outside of the United States. Why do people from outside the world, why does everybody want to come here? Whatever problems we may have.
They want to be, because they want to be oppressed.
Yeah. Whatever challenges we have, because we do, right? There's challenges,
Sure.
There's things that we can do better. It's still the best country in the world. Still the best
By
country.
far.
By far.
Omar, how do you feel about the way that I believe our federal government is almost trying to destroy itself?
I often think one of two things. I think they're incompetent to begin with, and then I think, no, that can't be. They can't be that incompetent, because that's where they're at. So it must be by design. And we don't have, I often think of, like, when I see someone make a decision that I think is a dumb decision, a lot of times I'll think, I just probably don't have all the data. I don't have all the information. So there's stuff that we don't know, and that's why they're making these decisions. We just don't know the rest of the story, right? There's a lot of stuff that we're just not privy to, that they are.
Well,
It's all by design.
Yes, but they don't. Are you I was going back to skepticism. That skepticism is healthy.
Yeah.
And I agree.
100%.
The first time I was married, though, she'd get so mad at me because she'd go, what would she, I hit a 500-yard drive today, and I'd be like, I doubt that.
Oh, you're just being an asshole.
Yeah, I wasn't. But I'd be like,
You're being Faja.
This happened. This happened. I'm like, yeah.
Did it really?
I don't believe that.
So
but
if
anyway,
I,
people.
So if I told you Faja, I had a 300-pound clean, you'd be like, eh.
I was bragging with my. I was bragging to my son last week
About the deadlift?
About deadlifting, and I'm like, I was talking to him, and I'm like, who deadlifted the most in class today? And his immediate response was, Omar wasn't there. And I'm like, you.
I don't even think I don't even think my deadlift is the best one by far. I think there's some heavy hitters now in the gym.
There's some heavy lifters.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go over 4 when we test.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, everybody's getting strong. Skepticism is everything. Question everything.
I PR'd my push jerk today.
Oh, did you really?
My 3-rep push jerk,
Nice.
which was over my 1-rep previous.
Oh, so your 1 rep is way higher than now.
Should be.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, I got a friend who I came up. Kat was like, Faja. I'm like, I don't know why I think of these things all the time, but there's a guy that always is like, whenever he sees me, he's like, you know how you know Jim does CrossFit?
Because he doesn't stop talking about
He
it.
goes, just wait a minute or two and he'll tell you. And I was like, and I finally come up with it. I'm like, you know, the next time I see him, and he does that, I'm going to go, you know how you know Joe doesn't do CrossFit? You know, and I'm going to be like, mixing a
It's
salad.
good to be healthy. You feel good. You know, you've got energy. You know, you've got vigor.
It's awesome.
You want to tell people about it. I feel great. I want to share it with you.
We do.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Play the video so we can get to Cuba. We might even go long tonight. Play the
this
video, the
doctor?
Dr. Zeki.
Okay, I haven't watched this, so I don't know.
And then I'll talk about that get back to that skepticism
Yeah.
point.
Of the definition of people dying of COVID. So the case definition is very simplistic. It means at the time of death, it was a COVID positive diagnosis. So that means that if you were in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that that was the cause of the death, but they had COVID at the time of death. I hope that's helpful.
And in hearing that, it's something that I, right off the bat, and going in COVID, obviously, when all of it started happening, it's pretty scary, right? Because you're like, wait a second, what the hell is this pandemic thing that's going on? And it's killing people, and they're throwing out these numbers of how many people are going to die. And it's you start seeing other information come out, and then they start trying to put that information down, to censor people, to take videos of doctors just sharing data off the internet and stuff like that. And what does that do? That only creates suspicion, right?
You would think it would create more skepticism, but it doesn't. People are like, because you can't have people saying that stuff because that probably was untrue.
A group of people, right? And I feel like those people are the ones that are always going to be led by their noses anyway, right?
Right.
That's just that group of people.
So the skepticism thing, and this is what I find weird. The people that have, I'm anti this vaccine. And so all the people like, you got to take it. All the people that would say the government sucks or spend their whole life going, the government sucks, the government sucks, the government sucks. Then all of a sudden this thing happens and
The U.S. government sucks.
Right. I just think of it this way. Listen.
And then they have no skepticism anymore. Oh, okay.
I think we just need to apply the same rules that we apply across, right? Those same people are probably the same people that tell you, my body, my choice. You're right. 100%. My body.
That's not for this.
My choice. Right? Let's apply the same rule across the board. Right? If I want to take this vaccine, I can. Right? If I don't want to take this vaccine, that's okay as well. Right? Everything is, there's a risk to everything. Right? And each individual should have the responsibility to say, okay, I'm less than this age. I don't have any serious health concerns. Right? I feel strong. I don't think I'm going to have any issues. Even if I were to get this, I'll probably be asymptomatic or I'll have minimal symptoms. I'm not going to take this vaccine because I'm not too sure what the vaccine is in, and I don't feel comfortable with it yet. Maybe I take the vaccine 2, 3, 5 years from now, if I feel like at that point in time, I do a risk assessment and I say, okay, yeah, I'm going to take the vaccine, right?
Right.
And that's the way that it should be for everybody. Are there people out there that should be taking the vaccine? Probably. Yeah, probably. Because they're maybe older. They've have a lot of comorbidities. They're not very, taking care of themselves.
That's if you believe in any way, shape, or form that it does anything that the government says it does, which
Let's
was
take
first
them-
pushed
let's
by
take
a
them at their word.
medical do.
Let's take them at their word.
We don't take them at their word at anything else.
Let's end this. Let's take them at their word, and let's say that it does do what it's supposed to do, which it hasn't, right? Because they said if you
Right.
get this, you won't get COVID, and people are getting COVID, and they have very high viral points.
What seems to be the case now?
As
The
far as-
reason that the spike is going on
Oh,
is caused by what?
The unvaccinated people.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
But
there's vaccinated people that are getting COVID.
well, what they're saying is that the vaccinated
It creates
people
a viral-
are
right.
spreading, are creating the spike.
Yeah, because
And
of the
variants.
viral load that they
And
have.
the variants.
Yeah, the viral load
They're
that they have
creating it.
is higher, and that's what happens with vaccines as well. With the vaccine,
Shedding.
if the
They act
vaccine
like that doesn't exist.
Yeah, if the vaccine doesn't kill whatever it is that is causing the illness, it doesn't work the same way like polio or smallpox, right? So that's why you're kind of hearing now as they're saying that you have to take some booster shots. Do you have to take a booster shot for smallpox? Do you have to take a booster shot for polio?
No.
It killed those things completely, right? And there's still people that might not feel comfortable taking those vaccines. That's fine, right? Your body, your choice.
The VAERS, the VAERS vaccine
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
adverse event reporting system. The download, there's a data file that you can download it. We're 6 months in, 7, I guess now, into this year. It's 7 of the previous 10 years. The highest year, it's about 7 times bigger, 7 months in,
Yeah.
than the biggest whole year.
Yeah. And you have to think, I mean, it's a vaccine that got created under emergency use. It didn't really get tested the way that vaccines get tested for years before they actually get put into.
They did test it for years. They tried for years. For 20 years, they've been trying to create that vaccine and haven't been able to.
And then all of a sudden, they're just able to do it like the snap of fingers.
Well, that's Trump's fault.
Everything is his fault.
Piece of shit, Trump.
Everything is his fault. But again, it goes back to this is a free country. All of the people that came here, or whether they were born here, they came here, they're free people, right? They get to make their own decisions. Let them make their own decisions. Be transparent. And to my question with all of this is, you have to take this vaccine, you have to take this vaccine. What's wrong with transparency? Right? What's wrong with saying, hey, this is what it is, and then you making a decision? If you go to the doctor and the doctor says, hey, this is what you've got, this is what I see. If you have an operation, they usually give you a percentage, like there could be a chance that this goes bad. This is usually like a 5% or a 10% chance. And then what do? You say, all right, I'll take the risk, 5%, 10%. If it fixes whatever my issue might be, I'll go ahead and I'll do it, right? I'll take that risk. Why can't this be the same? Why couldn't this be a decision between me and my doctor, for example?
Because there's more involved in it.
Right. So
Because
be transparent.
There's ulterior because they can't be transparent when they don't have.
So that's the catch.
Yeah.
Right? That's
but
what they're
why
trying
does
to.
that not make people skeptical? Skeptical.
Yeah. Why do people not question that?
The people who have questioned the government their whole lives, and now they're like,
Yep.
sign me up.
Yep. And it goes back just to the polarization of everything that's going on. You're either on that team or on this team. You're either a Democrat or a Republican. Right? You either voted for Trump or you didn't vote for Trump. Like it's just that, and a lot of them, and wrongly so, are thinking that the people that aren't taking the vaccine are a bunch of white Trump supporters, and that's actually not the thing at all. It's
The black
opposite.
community wants no part of it.
and rightfully so. They're not dumb.
You know why? Because they're skeptical.
Yeah, because
why?
They've got a healthy skeptic because they've been screwed over so many times.
Because they've had it.
Yeah.
They're not alone. Some think they are because of the Tuskegee experiments. But and right, like you said, rightfully so. But like you said, they've been using the U.S. military for that forever.
All sorts of stuff. I remember I got a couple of shots of anthrax. I have no idea what it was. Burned like hell. Both of my arms all lit up. And that's, hey, you're stand up, take the shot, and that's what you do.
we got to hurry up and get to Cuba. But Biden's talking about overturning DeSantis. DeSantis says no mask mandates, can't have it. Biden thinks he can overturn that.
I mean, they're going to go to court. They'll get stopped. It'll go to this court. It'll go to that court. It'll go back and forth. You know what I mean? And again, and you can look up information from doctors from the CDC that just talk about which masks work, which masks don't. You cannot sustain a situation in which all the people are getting N95 masks every single day. And those are the masks that, per the CDC, per Fauci himself, are the ones that truly work. Imagine you having
The
to get
bastion of truth and transparency.
That
Fauci.
guy's awesome. I love Fauci.
Well, he's making so much money, though. He gets paid better than anybody else in the federal government. He must know what he's doing.
My point is,
And that's what it is. That all these people are making money hand over fist, right? And again, you are a peasant. You're not allowed to question the barons. You're not allowed to question the lord or the king, right? And that's what it is. Why'd they get so upset when the whole Wall Street bet thing turned over, the whole GameStop and all that? They got super upset because, wait a second, how can the peasants figure out the game and work better at it?
Yeah, that can't happen.
That can't happen. The peasants can't make the money, right? That's all that was. And it was on full display.
We need our chance to get a hold of them, like when you storm the castle.
Yeah, and it might happen.
Okay. You grew up in Cuba?
I did, yeah. I left Cuba when I was 7 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, born in Cuba, lived there for the first couple of years of my life.
You remember enough of it,
I remember a lot of things. I remember a lot more things than I would think. I mean, it was pretty traumatic. My dad, me, and my mom left by ourselves. It was a difficult thing to leave Cuba. Most of my family still lives there, right? And I remember, always questioning, like, why do we have to leave? And I remember as we were getting ready to leave, once we had applied for the visas to telling the government, hey, we're leaving, they fired my mom from her job because all the employment is all, state run. Right. So they fired her from her job. They fired my dad from his job. So they both had to hustle
Even though he wasn't leaving.
We weren't leaving yet.
Yeah.
We weren't leaving yet. But since they knew we had applied and they knew we were trying to leave, they did all of that just to make life difficult for them.
Right.
And then I remember my mom would tell me that at school, the teachers would teach me like very patriotic, like indoctrination songs to come and sing and try to convince me not to let my parents leave. So that's how conniving they are.
Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that at all. But my mom, would remember and tells me, like, I'd come home and I'd say, I don't want to leave. This is my country, and stuff like that. And it's because the teachers knew about it and they would try to influence me, to try to influence my parents. And that's what they do. And I mean, in a lot of authoritarian regimes, Nazi Germany and stuff like that, they were trying to turn the children against the parents and stuff, right? No
they
different here.
Did a lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of it. No different here. Same exact playbook. Same exact authoritarian playbook.
What, you said you and your mom left by yourselves?
So it was me, my dad, and my mom.
Oh, all three of you got to go.
Yeah, so the first people that were able to get out of Cuba were my grandfather and two uncles. And they came here and they lived out of their car while they worked to get enough money for like 2-3 years. They were just literally, like, all three of them living in this old Chevy Nova. And they got enough money together, and then they were able to get, like, my grandma out and my aunt and my sister and another one of my uncles. And then we were the next group that made it out.
Was it super hard to get them out?
Oh yeah, it's very difficult. Yeah.
How did you get over that hump? How did you?
So there's a couple of different things that happened. Like, they came over in Mariel. So they came over during the whole Mariel boat lift, right? They were able to get out. They got on some boats. They made it here. They started working, driving trucks, started saving money. Literally all three of them sleeping in the same car. And then after like 2-3 years, they were able to save enough money. And then they were able to get visas for the rest of the people in the family. My family was a little bit different. Like, we got this thing that's like, they call it a bonbon. It's like a raffle. So they raffle so many visas, and my dad got one of those.
In Cuba they did?
In Cuba they did.
What was that? Just to kind of appease a few?
To try to, get people out, right? Because they're very smart, right? Every couple of years, Fidel Castro, what he would do is he would let all the unwantables, right? All the people that were causing trouble, he would let them leave. So it's like a pressure cooker, right? Once the pressure started building too much, he would let them people get out, right? So he did the same thing in the 80s with the Maria boat lift. He did the same thing in the 90s with the whole raft crisis, right? He would let people get out. And then those people, now the rest of the people that were left were a little bit more, a little more complacent. They kind of stay in line a little bit better. They don't create too much chaos.
So did they organize the rafts as far as to help them get out, kind of stay?
No, that was all them doing it themselves,
Okay.
But a lot of times they just wouldn't let you do it. If they see you come into the water with a raft, you'd get arrested, right? At that point, they just stop arresting people. And that's how they get rid of all the people that they don't want there. During the Maria boat lift, they would put on each boat, they would take people from the prisons, and they would put people that were from prisoners, dangerous prisoners, they would put them on the boats and they would send them to the United States.
How do you feel like right now? It seems like I had heard something recently where the Biden administration was not being sympathetic to people that were trying to get out of Cuba now.
He said, don't come here.
Yet we're allowing all of these people from Central America just to walk across our southern border right now. What is that?
Yeah, you kind of feel of it, two ways, and I understand that, and I feel like I'm a pretty balanced person. For a long time, the policy was different to where those people couldn't come across the border. Any Cuban that got here, as long as we touched land, we were good. I remember when we got here, I still remember at the airport, the woman from immigrations, my mom was like, hey, this is me, this is my son, da-da-da. And the lady asked, and I still recall this, the woman said, do you have family here in the United States? And my mom was like, yes, my dad is here, my mom is here, my brothers are here. And the woman just handed the passport back and said, hey, welcome to the United States. That was it. They took us to a little room, and I was a little kid. I remember this woman came in, she gave me a Coke, and she gave me a cookie. You know what I mean? And that's my story, right? That's how I got here. That's why I appreciate it, because I know what I came from.
Are you I'm probably going to sound super stupid. Are you a Cuban expatriate, or are you a refugee? Did you give up your? Did you?
Yeah. You can't. Now, if I were to go to Cuba, I have to take out a Cuban passport, even though I'm a citizen, because that's how they make money.
Right?
Nah, I've got nothing. I mean, I would love to go back. I'd love to be able to see my family. The majority of my family, my grandparents, have passed away. My uncles and my aunts in Cuba. Almost all my family is in Cuba. I haven't. A couple of them we've been able to bring here for vacation, but I mean a handful. I've got cousins, aunts, uncles, nieces. I mean, you name it, and I'll never be able to see them again.
Now, during that Obama window that we were allowing it, how come you didn't try to get over there?
Oh, I could have.
He can.
Yeah, no, we can. We can go. I've got people in my, and this is kind of like when we start talking about the embargo, and people think that we can't go to Cuba. I have family that has property in Cuba. I have family that spends more time in Cuba than they do here. It's a charade. It's not really an embargo. And that's, you see people like I was watching Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I think is her name. Mm-hmm. And she was talking about, the people need medicine and the people need food. And it's like, I mean, does she not realize that the embargo doesn't cover food and medicine? Like, the United States is the 5th biggest importer of food and medicine into Cuba out of the entire world. Does she not know that?
She's just trying to make us look bad.
Right. So so that's the point, right? So again, I think is she dumb or is she lying? Which one of the two? Because it's only one of the other.
Well,
you're either an idiot or you're a liar.
I think it's her supporters are dumb, not necessarily her.
All of them? Not a single one can look up on Wikipedia and see that the United States is the 5th largest importer of goods into Cuba?
On this pro and con arguments page I found, because you wanted to talk about the embargo, number 3, the con, the reason to be against the embargo. The embargo harms the people of Cuba, not the government as intended. Cubans are denied access to technology, medicine, affordable food, and other goods that could be available to them if the United States lifted the embargo.
Yeah, so the embargo does not block. This is straight off of Wikipedia. Any of those idiots can look this up in 5 seconds. The embargo does not block food and medicine goods to Cuba from the United States. In 2020, a year where we had so many restrictions, where we couldn't send things anywhere, 176 million worth of good were exported to the U.S. and 14 million imported into Cuba from the U.S. So how is that? How is that even possible?
So you're saying we can get Cuban cigars?
Oh, I mean, if we want to, yeah. And my family takes. You can go to the Miami International Airport, and every single day you will see hundreds of people packed with all sorts. And this is not the United States. These are just private people taking goods to Cuba. Hundreds of pounds of goods.
Do they get to keep it when it
Some
gets
of
there?
Some of it. A lot of it gets confiscated. Like if you've got a nice.
People don't realize that they confiscate. They
Oh yeah,
confiscate
you have
shit.
to pay a tax on it, and that's one of the things that the Cuban government did last year was they suspended their little tax, so that so our families here would start taking stuff back to them. So what people don't realize it's not the embargo that's hurting the Cuban people. It's communism. Communism is a failed policy. It doesn't work. It's failed everywhere that it has been tried.
Michael Moore made it look pretty good.
Michael Moore's an idiot. He went to the one hospital in Cuba. I can show you videos of what the hospitals in Cuba look like. There's no sanitary. There's flies, garbage just piled up inside hospital. Disgusting. No AC, nothing. It is the nastiest thing you will see. Like, you have a better chance of surviving, like going to a veterinarian than you do to a hospital in Cuba. Michael Moore went to the hospital that treats Fidel Castro, that treats the government folks, right? If you're an American and you want to go to Cuba and you want to get treated and you have dollars, you go to that hospital too. But my family in Cuba doesn't get to go to that hospital. And that's the one that he went to. So again, is he a liar or is he an idiot?
Well, he's a liar, I'm pretty sure.
You know what I mean? So I always look at these people and I'm like, how did you not realize, as impoverished as that nation is, how did you not realize that that's like the one hospital in Cuba that's actually well run, like it's actually got AC? None of the other hospitals have AC. None of the other hospitals have any kind of sanitation whatsoever. A lot of times, you know what ends up happening is they have no electricity. So if you need a ventilator or anything else, the electricity goes out. That's it. There's no generators.
A con to the embargo. It's been on for 50 years. It's been going on for 50 years, and it hasn't achieved the results it's supposed to achieve.
Yeah.
By making the government treat the people better.
You know, and it's, I would say there's probably truth to that, right?
They don't care, though. They're not going to. They don't care.
Yeah. And so the embargo, if the main goal of the embargo was to somehow overthrow the Cuban government, then yes, in that sense, it has failed, right? Because Castro was, you know, he was the man in charge for what, 50 something years, and his brother Raul, and now the new guy, Canel.
Who's the new guy?
His name is like Canel, you know. He's just another one of the lapdogs, you know. And so if that's what you are finding it by, yeah. But think of what the embargo was meant to put pressure on the government so that the government would make the right decisions. But they don't care about making the right decisions.
Right.
They're living good. You think, you know, I remember one time a couple of years ago, a video came out of Fidel Castro in his house with his family, big old table, and they're eating like steak and lobster and drinking wine, and I mean, just a monster spread. And everybody was like, how is that even possible? I was like, what, are you kidding me? What, you thought he was not eating steak and lobster?
Right.
They're living good. What do you think he was going to be?
Then the naivete of people that think...
They treat Cuba as their very own plantation. That's what people need to realize. Those guys run Cuba like their very own plantation. To those people in Cuba, they live good. They've got food, they've got everything that they need. They have nice houses, they have nice cars. That's just the way that it is. Everybody else that is not those people is living in abject poverty at the very minimal. Like, these people maybe make $20 a month in Cuban pesos, or, you know, whatever they want to call it, convertible.
Well, that's the thing. I can't explain this. I heard Rubio explain it. When you send U.S. dollars over there,
you can't use U.S. dollars.
They take it. They confiscate.
Take a percentage.
The exchange rate is so pathetic.
Yeah.
That they take it and get rich off the money that the American money that people send over there.
And that's why the government continues to work, right? Because we, right,
support them.
Our families, and I mean, think about it, right? If I have family in Cuba and I know they're struggling, it's hard for them, I'm going to try to send them money. I'm going to try to, send them food, take a medicine and all of those things. And we essentially have kept up the same regime we've been trying to get rid of. We have kept them up. We've propped them up all of these years because we still send that money.
But people like Omar complain that the reason why communism doesn't work is because of the evil capitalists that have sucked money away from, that we keep them down because of the embargoes.
Yeah. You have to just, and I think there's certain people that regardless of what they see, what proof they see, they're always going to say, right, no, it's this, it's that. They're going to find excuses for it because that's their agenda. They want to, they have something else that they want to go off. You have to look no further than Venezuela. Venezuela is the 4th largest oil country in the world, and those people are eating fish heads. They're eating fish heads. They're dying of starvation. They have blackouts. How are you the 4th largest oil reserve nation in the world and you have blackouts? You don't have electricity when you have the 4th largest oil reserves in the planet and you don't have electricity?
But they just blame the evil oil companies.
Exactly, right? It's always that. And when did that happen? When Chavez, using Fidel Castro's help, brought in communism, started taking, control of all the agencies. Around
98, 99, somewhere around there.
And it doesn't work. And now look at Venezuela.
They were one of the richest
countries in South America.
Yeah. And it took less than 15 years.
It was quick.
For it to implode.
It was quick.
So what you're saying is we can get there quick and out in communism here in America so that we can get this off of our back too, right?
We are, what is it? The cost for freedom is constant vigilance or something like that. I've heard a quote, something like that.
I can't remember it.
Sometimes I think the only way we're going to shut them up is to just go down that path and teach them a lesson.
You can't do that because we're all going to go on. We're going to fall off that precipice with them as well. We have to hold and just continue. And I think what happens is we stop talking to each other, and that's probably the worst thing. Where we need to talk to each other and share ideas. Everybody stops talking and starts screaming, and that's the worst thing that you can do. Because just because it's what I think doesn't mean it's right. I might talk to Faja and on 10 topics we might talk and probably agree on like 8 or 9. But there's one that we don't agree on. And you know what? I'll listen to Faja and I'll learn from, hey, you know what? Faja's been around for a minute. Faja has seen a lot. He's got a lot of life experience. Why does he think that? Let me find out. Let me ask him some questions, right? And try to learn something. The moment we stop talking to each other and start screaming at each other, that's it. We're done.
I think there's a lot of people out there that are just, if you aren't open, I feel like I am, and probably people would say I doubt it that I would be this way, but I'm like that I'm set in my ways and would not change my mind and am not open.
I think
but
you have some flexibility to you.
I do.
Yeah.
Because I can't be. That's a lie. If I feel it, if it hits me and I go,
if you show me something and you unequivocally show me proof of something, I'm not someone that's going to say, oh, I don't want to see that. No, that's not true. Because it's like, okay, well, if you're showing me proof of this, well, clearly it's right. Okay. Right. So I was wrong. You can't be so connected, so rigid in your dogma that you can't just change it if you find something that's different, right? And I remember I've read something like the Nazis would do studies and would like indoctrinate people, and then they would show them the opposite, and people were so indoctrinated that even though they had been shown unequivocal proof of the opposite of what they had been indoctrinated on, they were so indoctrinated that it was like, nope, that can't be right. No, that can't be right. That can't be right.
Are schools and colleges that bad then?
I definitely, I feel like I've learned more in life outside of school than I did in school. And that might just be me. I did go to college. I went to high school, but I feel like I've learned a lot more in life, in the Marine Corps and, my life after than I ever did in college or in high school.
Is that how you became a citizen?
Yeah.
Joining the Marine Corps?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I joined the Marine Corps. I was a resident at the time. You know, I had like a green card and stuff like that. You know, like an alien resident. Joined the Marine Corps, and then I did all my.
Alien? You can't say that anymore.
Why?
It's offensive.
That's what it said on my
It
card.
hurts people.
Yeah, it said it on my
hurts
card.
people's feelings.
It doesn't hurt my feelings. That's what I was.
Well,
I don't see what's wrong with
that.
that.
You were a resident alien, not an illegal alien.
I was not illegal. Yeah, I was a resident. I was here legally.
But if you are illegal, should that hurt your feelings?
You know, if you're here illegally, that's the truth, man. You're here illegally. You know.
So when my daughter's husband joined Revolt Fitness, my daughter joined Revolt Fitness. She got me in a situation online where I had to
put up or shut up.
And so when I guess I knew it was Omar's, or maybe I didn't know it was the vehicle, but I pull up in this, is it a Mitsubishi?
The Trooper?
The Trooper.
The Trooper, yeah. The
Isuzu Trooper.
The Black Mamba.
The Black Mamba.
And
on the back, it has
a
Ron Paul sticker on the back.
Man,
and Paul. I'm like, sweet. So we're in class one day, and so we get music a lot when we get to the workout part of it, and we do a lot of Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
And something he said, he's like, it's too bad they're fucking communists or something like that or whatever. But he goes, they're communists, but their music's good or something like that. And he goes, and he's walking away, and I'm standing there, and I'm, and then he goes, now socialism, that's something I think we can all get behind. And I'm like, what? So, I mean, we've become friends, and we're good friends, but I'm telling you that for I don't know how many months, that shit is eating at me. It is eating at me. I'm like, what in the hell did he mean by that? Yeah. So what was it? Was Kat out of town? Kat was out of town, and Omar and I went out to dinner.
We had to grab some food, yeah.
At Dharma Blue.
Yeah.
And I go, I got to ask you something. It's been eating me for 6 months or something like that. I'm like, you said, he goes, obviously I was kidding.
I was just messing around, man. It's like, why would I say something?
Around. I'm like, whew.
Yeah.
Okay, I can still love you.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, if I say something like that, then you know for sure I'm just messing.
I don't know why people refuse to listen to people who have lived it, seen it. I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to listen because I know you, respect you, and trust your honesty, integrity.
Because it questions their perceptions. It questions whatever, if you have someone that, let's say, is they want socialism or communism here in the United States, and then they hear someone like myself talk about, like, this is what communism is. That's what it is. That's what authoritarianism is, right? And so it comes down to, people think it's like right or left, right? People think it's like capitalism or communism.
Right.
And it's not that. It's basically freedom on one end and authoritarianism on the other. That's all. And you're either going in one direction or the other. You're either going in the direction of more freedom or you're going in the direction of more authoritarianism. If we are mandating vaccine passports to where cities like New York and LA, you can't go to the grocery store, you can't go here. That's no different than what Cuba is. In Cuba, you have what you call a carné, and that's your ID. And you have to carry a carné with you everywhere you go. And whatever cop wants can stop you and say, dame carné. Give me your ID right now. Show me your papers. And they'll take your papers. And if you have a little bag with maybe some groceries, you were maybe able to get like a sweet potato and God knows what, they'll take that. They'll confiscate it. They'll take your bag.
Whether you have your papers or not.
Yeah. That's where we're. So again, more freedom, more authoritarianism. Since I know what that is, I'm like, no, I'm good. We're not going in that direction. Not even for funsies.
How are people going to get groceries if they mandated that?
You're creating a second-class citizen. That's no different. That's no different than what we did to blacks here, right? Same exact thing. You can't go here. You can't go here. You can't go here. Same exact thing. You're basically creating a second-class citizen. And the same people that fought so hard against that are the ones cheering it on, because they're so blind they don't realize it's going to come for you next.
Nobody gets that part. You think you're going to be. You think you're
going to be spared.
Spared this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But people are gonna, like you said, that you talked about crimes and stuff there. When you wake up in the morning and your family has zero food,
Yeah.
zero, not like a little bit, zero
Zero food.
haven't had food for 2 days, maybe.
Yeah.
You're gonna find out how to get your family fed.
Yeah, you're gonna
figure
hustle.
out how to get your family fed.
It's all black market stuff. Everything is black market. I remember my mom would tell me, a lot of times we would brush our teeth with soap because there's no toothpaste. So we had a little bar of soap. All right, we brush our teeth with the soap. Or, we don't have any food, but we did have some sugar. We'd put sugar in water, drink some sugar water. Like that's Cuba. That's communism.
You have to come out to the beach someday for beach day on the weekend and hang out with Gabe and Aurora and hopefully Ely. She's Ely.
Yeah.
She's so Jean. She's just a sassy
Yeah.
Cuban,
They all are.
and she's just Jean.
Yeah.
But she used to work in the tobacco. Her dad was high up, but she still had to work
Yeah.
in fields and stuff. And she talked about what torture it was working in the tobacco fields
Yeah.
and stuff. But she goes, Gene, we knew which grass to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. And
We knew which was the best tasting grass.
Yeah. It's
I'm like, what?
you have to. I mean, if you're hungry, you got to eat. You have to eat something, right? And that just goes to the mismanagement because Cuba is a land like very arable. Like you can grow
Fertile.
I mean, you can grow whatever you want in Cuba. It's the tropics. You can grow all the fruit, all the food you want, and it's so badly mismanaged, right? That there's no food. How does that make sense? In a country with only 11 million people and all this land, and you can't grow enough food to feed your people. That's mismanagement. That's communism.
Is it mismanagement though?
100%.
Is it mismanagement or
Yeah.
just downright mistreatment? Just grow enough for us and
Yeah. So for example,
they don't give a shit.
it's not that they don't care. It's that you can't manage an economy. There's too much going on, right? Which is if you start, reading back into like economics and Austrian economics and stuff like that, right? Like that the invisible hand. There's all this stuff going on, and if you make one thing happen, there's a bunch of different repercussions that are going to come from that. You can't control that. Central management of the economy is not something that's suitable to be done, right? And that's what they try to do. That's what communism is, right? To where in communism, in Cuba, right? If you get the license from the government and the government says you can open up a little ice cream shop, right? And you open up your ice cream shop, you're going to have a hard time getting the things that you need in order to make your ice cream. So what do you have to do? You have to go on the black market in order to get the things that you need in order to make the ice cream, right? So you pay black market prices. Then what happens? The government says you can't sell the ice cream for more than 50 cents. So you can't sell the ice. So you have to pay black market prices, but you have to sell your ice cream. And every ice cream store in Cuba sells the ice cream at the same price. You cannot change your price.
How can they keep doing? How do they come up with it?
They pick it out of a hat.
Can people
What do we think? What do we think?
to buy it? How often can they afford to buy it?
They can't because so what happens is you get paid, and recently they started changing it. You get paid in one type of money, right? You get paid in a peso. That's the Cuban. But then there's another thing called CUC, which is un convertible. It's like another money. So you have to take your pesos, which are worthless, and convert them into CUC because CUC is what they accept at any of the stores that you can buy stuff when they have stuff.
So
and you can't even afford it because it would take you months to be able to save the money to then go ahead and afford this. That's what happens.
Ice cream.
Right. That's communism.
Have you ever seen the Milton Friedman thing that he does on a pencil and how a pencil is made and how it couldn't be made if it was communist?
Yeah.
Have you ever read that?
I love
Jim?
Friedman. Friedman is
He's
anything. I've read a lot of his a lot of his work, and I mean that's kind of when I started looking at Ron Paul. Obviously, he talks a lot about the Mises Institute and Friedman and Murray Rothbard and stuff like that. And I remember him being up on the Republican stage and saying these things about why are we at war? Why are we losing our men and women? What's going on? Like, why are we why are we doing this with the economy? And everybody would laugh at him. And that instantly caught my attention. I was like, wait a second. Why is this guy running for president and everybody else that's up there is laughing at him? Okay, I need to read about this guy. And I started reading into Ron Paul, and I was like, oh, they're laughing because he's actually telling the truth. This is what he really thinks. He's not a politician just up there singing and dancing, trying to get your vote. He's actually just saying what he thinks. And then I started watching older and older and older videos of him from like the early 80s and things that he was starting to write when he was, helping Reagan run for president. And I was like, this guy's been saying exactly the same thing for the last 28 years. Like, that's pretty consistent. And that's one thing that our politicians are usually not. Our politicians will turn around, tell you something, turn around and tell me something completely different. They're about as inconsistent as you can get. But Ron Paul has been 100% consistent through everything that I've ever read about him. Like, what he believes, this is the way that I see it.
What do they, well, I'm guessing that a lot of what he believes, because I don't know him super well. I think I'm probably pretty much a libertarian, even though I couldn't define libertarian.
Yeah.
The biggest way I would define libertarian is, the non-intervention, no intervention, and
I think of that as more like policy.
Can do what they want.
Yeah. I think that's more policy, and your policy might, I probably, if you were to like put a gun to my head and say, what are you, which is a very funny, question. And I were to tell you I'm a libertarian, if you're not, okay, what do you think a libertarian is? I think a libertarian is a person that just wants to be responsible for themselves. That's it.
Right.
And your policies might not be the same as mine, right? Like you might have some different ideas on different topics and stuff like that. But you want to be responsible for yourself, right? You want to make your own money. You want to keep that money, or maybe you want to donate that money. Maybe there's a church that you really care about and you want to donate all of your money. Go for it. Right? What does that have to do with me? Good for you. That's awesome. That's a great thing. You want to donate your money to charity. You want to spend however you want to. That's your business. You are responsible for yourself. I am responsible for me. To me, that's the definition of a libertarian. Somebody that just wants to be responsible for themselves.
Personal responsibility.
That's it.
I got in so much trouble for that in my own family once. I posted online, if everybody would just accept personal responsibility, we wouldn't be dealing with any of this.
I think that's a good first step, right? And being able to say, wherever it is that you are now, look in the mirror, and you've probably had a good hand in getting yourself there.
Yeah, you did. A good two hands.
Whether good or bad, you probably had a lot to do with getting yourself there.
You probably grabbed it with both hands and embraced it. That's why you're. I wanted
to, and I've told you this before, and when I first started telling you this, you were like looking at me like I was growing horns or something. And there was this guy, Naval Ravikant, I think is his name. He was on Joe Rogan a couple of years ago, and I remember he said something, and I was like, man, that makes perfect sense. And he was like, with my family, I'm a communist. I was like, man, with my family, I'm a communist. And he says, within my, larger family or community, I'm a socialist. At local politics, I'm a Democrat. At state politics, I'm a Republican. And at national politics, I'm a libertarian. And it's like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like whatever I have, Kat has that, right?
Right.
Within my larger family, whatever I can do for them, they have it also. No questions asked. But as your group grows larger and you don't know these people, right, you have to have certain things in place, and those people need to be responsible for themselves as well, right? And that's kind of the way that plays out. And I remember reading that. And I remember I told you that one time. I think we were talking with Jacob and stuff like that, and I mentioned that.
I remember that.
I think we were at Marcy's house or something, like one night or whatever. And You might have had a few cocktails, possibly. I can't remember.
I'm so tired of people bringing up the fact that I was drinking when
But I remember I shared that with you, and when I first started saying it, you were like, "What the hell?" And then when I finished, you were like, "Okay, that makes sense." And it does. It makes perfect sense.
It does. Because when it comes to me and the kids,
that's different, right? That's
right.
your family. You're going to
and
share.
It's you and me. And,
within the larger community, you're going to try to help each other out.
Right.
But once it gets to a certain point, that doesn't function the same way. And that's what communism is, and that's why it doesn't function. Because why? And that's it. Everybody starts looking out for themselves and for their family, as they probably should. That's what we've done for thousands of years to survive.
I heard somebody else, I haven't heard very many people say it, but I heard somebody say it the other day. I believe that all of us, most everybody, we've got a diverse family at the gym.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Very diverse family.
Yeah.
I believe that our values are 80+% aligned.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Our values are 80% plus aligned.
If not more. Yeah.
Yes.
I would agree.
I would say 90, but
And people coming from all backgrounds, you name it.
All of
races,
them.
all
Everything
creed, everything under the sun. Yeah.
Everything that everybody, but our values, but we vote. I don't believe, I say this about people with their kids. I go, so I vote to the right.
Yeah.
And people will vote left and be very left in their politics and everything. But I'm like, you don't raise your kids that way.
Right.
You raise your kids. This is a little bit different.
Yeah.
I'm like, you raise your kids Republican, if you will, or libertarian or whatever. Responsibility. You earn what you get. You're not getting anything for free. You don't do your shit. You got nothing. But you vote the complete opposite of that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't get that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's funny because you say, we have so many different people at the gym, and we do.
And we're tight.
Everybody's very tight. And then if I were to look at the common denominator between all the people at the gym is everybody takes self-responsibility. And that's why they're at the gym, and that's why they work as hard as they do. Right? And I think that goes to show that even though we might have differences from that point, you have that common ground that you stand on. And it makes it easier to just have that communication, because we definitely have people that are like, very right-leaning, I would say, like kind of ideals. And we have people that are very left-leaning ideals as well in the gym, and everybody gets along just perfectly. And I think it's because of that. Everybody at the gym is taking that step of that self-responsibility. I'm here to work on myself, my health, to be good, to feel good, right? And I think that common ground makes everything else easier. And nobody's screaming at each other. As much crap as we talk, nobody's screaming at each other.
Yeah, we talk, and nobody gets offended.
Nobody gets upset. No.
I mean, the very people that, we have every just about ethnicity type represented in there.
Yeah.
We have every orientation in there,
Yep.
And everything, and everybody's
good.
Because our values, because we're inside that, we're outside, we're in the bubble.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. And because I believe that 80 plus 90% of our values are the same. Because we want the same thing for our kids.
Yeah.
We believe in our personal lives and everything. We get what we earn and deserve.
And you know what? I think it's also, we don't have the noise of the media. I think the media today is causing a lot of the division.
They're causing all of it.
Yeah.
And also I think that the differences and the divisions, because I think people vote. I think I vote for based on economics and fiduciary responsibility.
Yeah.
And because without economic strength, you have zero. There's no strength in your nation.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and the other side from me votes on social issues.
Yeah.
And that kind of shit is supposed to be handled, amongst ourselves.
I mean, it can be, and it should be. And I mean, I think it comes down to, again, freedom, right? Are you free to make the decisions, are you free to make the decision to have a drink? Are you free to make the decision to smoke a joint? Is it freedom or is it not, right? And at what point do you draw those lines, right? Do people, and I remember one time where Ron Paul, they were in one of the debates and they were asking him about heroin. Should heroin be legal? Because their job was obviously to make him look bad and make him look silly. And I remember him saying, it's like, it's not like if we made heroin legal, tomorrow everybody would be like, oh, let's go do heroin because it's legal now. The people that are going to do heroin, they're already doing heroin.
Right.
Like everybody else is not.
Right.
So that doesn't make any sense. Again, it's not right. It's not left. It's not this. It's not that. It's not conservative. It's not so, it's more freedom or less freedom.
Well, yes, right. Yes. And people are they're gonna wash themselves out. If they're like, oh, heroin's legal, I'm going to start doing it. You're going to start doing it, and you're going to wash yourself out of. You're not going to be an issue for very long.
Again, wherever you are, you had a very good hand in getting yourself to that point when you look in that mirror, right? So if you start doing heroin, you made that choice. That's the freedom. You made that choice. That's probably a very negative and bad choice.
I believe that everywhere, anything I have or don't, I know why I don't have certain things.
Yeah.
It's not anybody else.
Yeah.
It's nobody else but me.
No.
If an insurance company, I say this, you think you hate Trump being president.
Yeah.
Let me be president.
Right. Yeah.
You'll hate some shit then.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Because, like, for instance, in business, like, I got into it with a kid in Baltimore, a young kid. Like, that people think that you should have to serve anybody no matter what. And so I kind of relate it down to, like, I think insurance, health insurance. Mm-hmm. If I want to be an insurance company, and we'll just say smokers. I'm not insuring smokers.
Yeah.
Not insuring smokers.
Yeah.
My rates are low. I'm not insuring this. I'm not insuring that. I'm not insuring
roofers because they
whatever
fall off the
I
roofs
want.
all the time.
And they can do that. They do that. But whatever I want. And you're gonna live or die based on your decision for what you provide and what and who and what you will sell to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and it comes back down to,
well, it's not fair that you don't insure smokers.
Don't smoke.
Smokers cost me a lot of money.
Don't smoke. I
have. Well, I want to smoke.
It's bad. Well,
okay, then you can't
choice,
have insurance.
Then you can't have insurance. Yeah. So and it comes back to that, right? People want to have everything, and it's like, well, you make decisions. You have to live with the repercussions of those decisions. You want to be a smoker. I mean, smoking causes cancer. Like, it's been, just pretty much shown for the longest time. So that was your choice. You have the freedom to do that, and that's probably what's going to happen.
I think you should be able to make any club you want to make.
Yeah.
Any club, and restrictions, however, you live and die by the.
I can't join the Augusta,
Right.
golf country club.
Well, yeah, maybe not even if you have enough money.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
That place is. There's the guy that owns. I can never remember his last name. The guy that owns Remax. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're really around here, are they? Remax.
Like real estate?
Yeah,
I think they are.
Maybe. But Castle Pines, Jack Vickers owns Castle Pines, and the guy that owns Remax wanted to join. And he's like,
nah.
The guy makes gazillions of dollars.
Yeah.
So he built a place right next door.
Yeah.
It's in Castle Rock, Colorado. So yeah, Colorado.
Yeah, I know where it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So he built it right next door. It's called the Sanctuary.
Oh, that's funny.
And it's invite only.
Oh, that's even funnier.
There's no members. There's one member or two, Bill and his wife. Full-time pro, full-time. We get invited out there, but the point was they said no.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, fine.
Yeah,
I'll build my own.
You should have the freedom to be able to do that. You don't want to let me join your club? What was it that Groucho Marx says? I would never join a club that would allow me as a member.
And we go out there one day. This is how awesome it is. And we have lunch. The guy waits on us and everything. We have lunch, and we're like, can we get a tab? He goes, no. He goes, when you get invited out here, you get invited out here.
That's it.
That's it.
That's where it's at. I mean,
So we tipped the shit out of him.
and if you want to make an exclusive club, that's your prerogative. If you want to make it inclusive, and I think, like, for example, for the gym, like, I feel like we are inclusive, and we go out of our way to be inclusive of everybody that wants to work hard and have fun and be a part of the community and has those shared values, right? And we see people come and go, and a lot of the people that maybe go maybe don't feel like, hey, I feel better at a different place, for example. But that's everybody should have the freedom to do that. If you want to have an exclusive club, cool. If you want to have an inclusive club, cool. That's
right.
Again, more
People,
freedom,
it should just be
less freedom.
Right.
Give people the freedom to make the right decisions, and I have a feeling people usually do.
Well, they end up, if they want to, you have to make good decisions to. You have to make better decisions to remain in society.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you want to, if you're gonna just say, limit it so much, people are going to be like, that guy's an asshole.
Most people will fall in line, and you have to understand, like, for the thousands of years, if you were outcast from your tribe, that pretty much meant death. That was a death sentence.
Right. So
everybody usually falls in line with, this is the societal norms and stuff like that. Because otherwise, you're probably going to die.
Which are those 80 or 90% of the values of treating somebody with respect and kindness and compassion, and
it's called having education. I think it was, I want to say it was Thomas Jefferson, was like, you go to school for learning, you go to life for education, or something like that. And it's like, and that makes perfect sense. Your schooling is with a little math, English, all of those topics. But your education as a person, how you treat others with respect, how you're sincere, how you tell the truth, all of those things, that's your education in life.
Awesome. What time is it, Todd?
It is 8:41.
Oh, we've already gone by. Have you said as much about the embargo as you'd like to say?
I feel like I think the most important thing for people to realize is the embargo on Cuba does not stop us from sending food and medicine. We send that as much.
That's one of the big complaints.
We are the 5th biggest importer of food and medicine into Cuba, and then it's like, they're talking about, like, oh, the people in Cuba that started, and let me tell you, there's a couple of hundred people that are still missing, right? And most of those people are probably in jail. Some of them are probably dead.
I saw that.
Yeah. There's hundreds that are still missing that they're unaccounted for. And what ends up happening is they take you and they just put you in a prison somewhere in the country, and you don't know, and your family doesn't know. And until they decide to let you loose, you're going to be in jail for a couple of months, probably even longer. And they don't have to give any kind of
reason.
Yeah, no reason whatsoever. This is why we arrested you. You're, disrupting the peace. Nothing. They just pick you up. They put you in jail. They take you somewhere. They're going to torture you, 100%. My uncle spent 16 years in Cuba in prison, and he was tortured all the time. They're gonna torture you.
They were trying them 10 and 12 at a time for expediency.
Oh yeah,
they're just like.
It's a kangaroo court. Yeah, it's a kangaroo court, 100%. And so those people stood up, and a lot of the people are saying, oh, they're asking for food and for medicine. Like, you see that all over the media. And I've watched quite a few of the videos. My mom sent me some of the videos from my own town in Cuba, where the people went to the police department and they were, chanting and protesting in front of the police department. And I can guarantee you, I watched the entire video. There was nothing about food or medicine. It was all about freedom. They were saying libertad. Like, we want freedom. We're over this, and that's what it is. And it's mostly the younger people.
What were they looking from us that we didn't help them out with? Could we have? Could we have helped them with that protest?
They wanted vaccines.
So looking at it from the perspective of someone understanding, like, kind of the politics and the dynamics of Cuba and all of that, and being here and being a part of this country now, I would say you have to stay out of it. You have to stay out of it. You have to let the people work it out themselves, right? Way too often we get sucked into all of these different things, all of this nation building all over the place, and it's our people that are dying, right? I love my country. I love Cuba. It's the country that I come from. My family is still there. I want the best for them. You have to let them work it out, and they will.
What about I'm not Obama? They said that about him. And I don't know what it was, probably around 2010 or something, when the Iranians were protesting and and saying, help us, whatever, and they were like, he blew them off. So it sounds like, from your perspective, he did the right thing. Just you got to stay out of it. Ron Paul would say to stay out of it. Ron Paul would probably say 100%. To stay out of it. You
want to offer support for freedom, right? And wherever it is, because that's what you stand for. Right. And if that's what you stand for, you have to say that. But if you're continuously getting dragged into all of these little, nation squabbles, because that's what it is. There's a group of people in Cuba that is the group that is, their heels are dug in and they don't want to let go of power. Right. And then there's everybody else that wants freedom, that wants to be able to own their own home, own their own car, start a business, be able to feed their families, right? That's all the Cuban people want. The same thing that we have here, right? The freedom to be able to make some choices and have some responsibility rather than the state always telling you what to do and what to say.
But ultimately, what do you think the U.S. could do to help the people?
Nothing.
Stay out of it.
Just stay out of it.
Stay out of it 100%. The one thing that I would say, would be helpful because it would allow, again, more freedom is, and I've heard a couple of times where they're talking about, beaming internet into Cuba, for example. Like, that would be useful.
We just passed a bill today, supposedly, and I don't understand that, to provide uncensored internet to the revolutionaries or the protesters in Cuba.
Yeah.
To the protesters? Isn't it going to go to everybody?
It would go to everybody, but the thing is, so the protesters were able to use TikTok and other apps to be able to share when they were going to go ahead and coordinate. Before that, it was extremely difficult to coordinate any kind of mass protest because it had to be by word of mouth. And what ends up happening is what they call human intelligence, right? Like la inteligencia humana, the human intelligence in Cuba is everything. So if I go and tell you and you go and tell him, by the fourth or the fifth person, the state already knows.
Right.
Oh, there's going to be a protest. And what do? They arrest all 5 of us. And they put us in jail for a year. So you didn't have that. So this time it was a little bit different because they were able to set up through the apps, they were able to set up these mass protests. And then once one started, the next one started, the next one started.
Where did they get the internet access?
So there's one internet provider in Cuba. And what did the Cuban government do? They turned it off. As soon as they realized, they're connecting via the different apps and so forth and getting these protests together, they turned it off.
I had heard something about Google balloons. It was something that they were going to try to use.
I mean, you've got SpaceX that's put, or what's the satellite internet that Musk has put out? It's not called SpaceX. It's called something else.
Is it? I know what it is.
It's a different name, but anyway, it's basically that. I mean, for the longest time, with AM, FM radio, like people in Cuba can listen to the radio from here in the United States. There's usually enough signal.
Radio Free America.
Yeah, they're able to pick it up, or vice versa. I've met people in Miami, older. I remember talking to this older gentleman. I can't remember where it was, but he was telling me like he remembers in the 40s and the 50s being able to listen to Cuban music. And he was like, oh, it was amazing. Prior to Fidel Castro taking over, I would listen to cha-cha-cha or rumba and stuff like that. All the Cuban music, I would hear it. And it was a gentleman that lived in Miami Beach. We used to be able to hear the radio and stuff like that. And that's if anything at all, it would be that. Just so they have the freedom to communicate and figure it out themselves. Stay out of it. Stay out of it. The United States and Cuba, the United States, since Cuban independence has been, it's always had its nose in Cuban affairs. And that's probably hurt the United States, and for sure it's hurt Cuba. Let them figure it out. Stay out of it. Let them figure it out. At some point they will. And
How's it hurt us?
I feel like, because we've propped up, different dictators and stuff like that, and we got Fidel because of Batista. And Batista was propped up by the United States. and all of the stuff that he got away, with eventually got us Fidel, and people thought we were going, a lot of my family in Cuba thought Fidel was going to make things better because he wasn't saying he was going to be a communist. He was saying we're going to overthrow Batista. Fidel Castro didn't take power right away. There was actually somebody else, one of his attorneys, that he put as president. And that person was president for like about a year and a half as Fidel Castro started acquiring more power and did everything on the back end so that he could set himself up as the dictator. A lot of people don't know that.
Did he set himself up as the dictator in '59, or was the guy president? Did he have the guy as president?
He had the guy as president, yeah.
And then
they
rolled
put this
into
guy
it
forward
in a couple years.
Yeah, they put this guy forward, and then he became, I think it was like premier or something like that. And then over time, by like '63, he'd already kind of acquired power. He put his people in all the different posts of importance and stuff like that. And then by that time, it was too late. But people at first, they wanted Fidel Castro because they were so tired of Batista.
How long was he around?
Batista was around twice. So Batista was president for a while that he'd been elected, and then he did a coup. He did a coup, and he took power. I want to say it was like either late 40s or early 50s. And then he was, as a dictator, after he had done his coup, he was probably for like 6-7 years.
So it wasn't freedom up until before Castro. Because that's kind of the common.
It was freer. It was freer, and it comes down to. And I remember my brother, after he visited Cuba the first time and he came back, he was like, "Bro, I don't think people in Cuba care whoever is the president as long as they can live their lives." And that's what everybody does, right? So if you think about China, right? China gives the people capitalism, but it's the communists that run things, right? But everybody's, hey, at least I have the things I can live. I've got a nice place. I can eat, right?
If you behave.
If you behave, right? Kind of the same concept. Most people in Cuba could care less who the president is, as long as they could actually do things, as long as they could live, as long as they could feed their families, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what everybody's trying to do. Everybody's trying to just survive.
It's just, what do you think about Americans traveling there?
Love it. Love it. That's probably the one thing that Obama did that I was like, oh, I like that. That's pretty good. And I'll tell you for this reason. People don't realize how important it is. And that's a big part of it, of the internet and stuff like that. Like people in Cuba, when I remember the first time my uncle came here, my dad's brother, we brought him here and we took him to the supermarket. And if you see this poor guy's face, it was like a 50-something-year-old man walk into a supermarket, into a Publix in Miami. And he was just looking around like he couldn't believe it. Like, how is this possible? And we took, and he was like, look at all these steaks. Look at all this food. How is this possible? Like, I remember that. Like, I've got goosebumps right now because I remember that. He didn't break down, but I could see it. Like, he was dumbfounded as to how is this possible? Like, that's how backwards they are. That's how bad things are, to where they don't have anything. They don't have anything, and it's hard for them to see that. So like
some people here,
yeah,
like a lot of people here, that are oppressed.
Well, that's why I don't I don't fault people coming from Central America.
They're trying to do better.
Do better. Yeah. What I fault is our government
for sure
doing. I think they're almost bringing, and for whatever reason, making them want to come here more than they should. Well, I mean, I think they're organizing the caravans and a lot of stuff like that. But I don't fault the people themselves for doing it.
I think we're always going to have people looking, like I said earlier when we were talking about, like everybody outside of the United States looks at the United States as like the shiny castle on the hill. For however long we are around, unless we manage to screw it up royally, which it looks like we're doing a pretty good job of it, people are going to want to come to this country. It's on us to figure out, okay, how do we do that in an organized manner, right?
Well, it's the same thing with Cuba. I think Cuba could be a paradise
for sure
in and of itself, and most of these countries in Central America could be the same way.
Oh, for sure.
But things need to change.
I'll give you a perfect example of what you just said right there. Like you have El Salvador, and right next, which is one of the countries where a lot of people are trying to flee because the violence is so bad, the poverty is so bad. And then you have Costa Rica right next to it, which is when we left Cuba, we actually went to live in Costa Rica for a year before we were able to get our visas into the United States. And Costa Rica is a great place. Like, I mean, as far as, they might not be like the richest country or anything like that, but they do pretty well. Like, people live, they're able to work, they're able to eat, and right next to them, it's a country that's completely falling apart. Nicaragua is the same thing, right? And what's one of the things that is common between them is communism.
Somebody tried to tell me that back around 2008 that Nicaragua's communist and they're doing great.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
like,
Yeah.
no, they're not.
They're not. They're not doing great.
The fuck are you thinking?
Yeah, they're not doing great.
They're being sustained on missionary trips.
That's and again, that's one of the things that's great about the United States. Every time there is a disaster, who is one of the first countries to answer the call, and how much money comes out of this country? Remember when the whole in the Southeast Asia, there was that huge tsunami where like a couple of 100,000 people died. I remember, like, I think there was like hundreds of millions of dollars that came from the United States, not even from the government, from people.
From people.
From people.
From the American people.
Right. Like that goes to show, again, why everybody wants to come here, right? And a lot of times we get, like a bad rap, or we're getting into people's things and stuff like that, but we do try our best, and I feel like it's sincere.
That's why the government doesn't need to take, they take it under the cause of under the
Auspices.
Of being
Helping.
your brother's keeper. We're supposed to be my brother's keeper, and you don't need to do that.
Yeah, that's not the
You
government's
don't
role.
need to do that because of what you just said earlier, in that communist, socialist, democratic, republican, libertarian mode. Because we do take care of our own.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's people, we don't know any of those people in Southeast Asia, but we sent hundreds of millions of dollars because it's like, that's a terrible place. I can only imagine being in that situation. You know what I mean? Like when the hurricanes hit last year, right? Both of our cars got flooded.
I was just thinking that and going to say that.
Both of our cars got
You
flooded.
read my mind?
Neither Kat or I had a way to get anywhere. Right off the bat, Matt was like, I've got a pickup
government
truck.
gave you 2 vehicles to use.
One of our friends, hey, I've got an extra truck. You want it? Sure, I'll take it. It'll get me around, right? And I mean, I didn't even have to ask.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
It's so fun. You're reading my mind. I'm just sitting here waiting for you to quit talking so I can
Yeah.
bring that up. That's awesome. Well, listen, man, this has been good.
Yeah,
I've
for
enjoyed
sure.
it.
I love chatting with you. You know that, man.
Yeah, likewise. I had a good time, so we'll do it again sometime.
Let's do it whenever you want.
We had some good fun talking about the Lakers and shit, and the NBA, the old NBA,
And just
in
so
the
everybody
beginning.
remembers, it says it right here. This just in, LeBron sucks.
You never enjoyed him.
He just seems like a baby, man. I remember him in the Heat. I appreciate people. Like, I wasn't a Michael Jordan fan just because I was a Lakers fan. But I appreciated that he would play through injuries, that he would just put his body on the line. Allen Iverson. Like, to me, those were the guys, like, I appreciated that level of play. LeBron James, like, stubs his toe and he's like, oh my God, I'm out for a month. And it's like, come on, dude, are you serious? You're like 6'10", 300 pounds. You're a monster.
You're the GOAT, and you have flop videos on YouTube.
And your hamstring, oh my God, my hamstring. Bro, put some ice on it and get going. You know what I mean? Like, and that's, and seeing Michael and Iverson and all these people and Kobe, that they would get injured and they were like, I don't care, I'm playing, let's go. You can't get me off this court. When Kobe ripped his Achilles, what did he do? I'm shooting the free throws. You just ruptured your Achilles tendon. I don't care. I'm
Did he
shooting
make
these.
them?
Yeah, he made them both. I'm shooting these 2 free throws. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate that. And I remember LeBron, when he went to the Heat, all my friends were all, hey, oh, we got LeBron. And I was like, dude, he sucks,
He never has, I don't know, earned a ring. in a way.
I mean, he has.
Because he's got to buy it. He's got to control the situation and dictate the whole team before.
Yeah, he's got to have everything the right way.
I mean, no AD.
Yeah, he's got to have everything.
No
the right
AD,
way.
no ring in LA.
Yeah, I mean, he's been to 10 finals? How many finals has he been to? 10. He's only won 5.
At one point, he was. I want to say he's only won
4.
4.
I think he's been to 10.
Cleveland. 2 in Miami. Right?
I think he's 50%.
I don't think he's even 50%. Maybe
he might not even.
He
be
was
50%.
3 for 9.
So he's probably 4 for 10 now.
So
he went to the 10th one with the Lakers, the one that they won, and then so he's 4 for 10.
He's taken the girl home 10 times, and only got laid 4 times.
Yeah, that's Michael went 6 times, got 6 rings. Kobe went 8 times, right? Because they lost to Detroit, they lost to the Celtics. Kobe went 7 times.
I don't think he's won 7.
He's won 5.
Went 7.
Went 7. Like, if you go to the finals 10 times and only have 4 rings, like, what were you doing wrong?
See, you know what? As much as I like to hate on LeBron, Jerry and Wilt have the same. Jerry's like 1 for 9 or something like that.
Yeah, but they were playing the Celtics, man.
They had to. That was a different deal then.
Yeah.
With Red Auerbach, I hated them.
Yeah.
That was I hated the Celtics for so.
They
And
ran the
speaking
show.
of that as well, a lot of people would say there's no way that Larry was better than LeBron, but I watched a Larry highlight video not too long ago.
Larry was really good.
And I'm like, I don't think LeBron can put that highlight video together.
Bird was good. Nah, he can. It's a different game too. It's a different game.
Well, let's wrap it up and get out of here.
Let's do it.
I appreciate you being here, man.
Thank you for
It
the
was
invite.
fun. Let's do it again sometime.
sure. Let's
down
do it.
the road. It's easy.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. We had a lot. We had some people. The chat thing's been going. We have Erica's a Cuban
Okay.
and is on there commenting.
What did she say?
So she was pretty much in agreement. Well, the last thing is exactly right. Sad.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week. Play Harder Radio on PatriotTV.live.
LeBron sucks.
Thanks, guys.
That is my.